Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So for today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this cute moving elf Christmas card featuring products from Uniquely Creative. So let's go ahead and get to it! Okay, so I have to just very quickly show you this stamp set. Now I'm just going to grab a piece of white cardstock. So the only downside to getting the design team stuff is that they don't have the little outlines of the stamps on them, so they're a bit harder to see. But thankfully these are already well loved, so by the time you guys, you'd be able to see these. So we've got a couple of different elves in here. We've got some presents. That is just the most gorgeous sentiment, that Be Merry. I love it. That's the standard, that's that's the set that comes in the standard set. There's also a extra one that's called Elf Hugs that is just so cute. If you can get both, I highly recommend both because they're just gorgeous. But I'm going to be working with the main one today. And I'm going to be making a mini slimline card. So I'm just grabbing this piece of white cardstock to be my guide, I guess, so that I can work out my size. So a mini slimline is 15 centimeters or 6 inches. By 3, I'm going to actually do mine at 3.5 inches, which is, where's 3.5, which is about 8.6 centimeters, because I am going to then have some bits here, but I need a piece to kind of work with to get my images right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab 2 images out of here. I may end up with a third. I haven't quite worked that out yet. I want this little guy who's going to be holding the presents. And then I want the presents. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this mini slimline card. And we're going to make it so the presents wobble in his hand. And then I'm going to have, I will bring in some extra stuff. I'm then going to have some presents. I'll have a bunch of presents sort of sitting down in front of him. And that'll fill the space up. And then we'll have the sentiment up here. So I will work out what the sentiment's going to be in a minute. Having a look at the, maybe we have like the Merry Christmas at the top here. I've got some red in this. I'm taking all of my colours from this paper. I love the mint. Actually, I need to bring in a couple more mints. I like the mint, the olive, the red and the pink. It's just a really cool little colour combo. So I might even use the special for you or the Christmas is coming as we sort of go along here. But I think I'll have that sort of behind this. No. I'll work out the paper bit in a minute. So I'll stamp out all of my images and we'll get to colouring. Now I'm not going to do it for today's, but this would be really cool to have a rainbow stack of presents. That would just be really, really cute. Okay, so I just need to pull in a couple of mint coloured Copics. So when I'm working from a piece of paper, I just grab my hex chart. It needs to be sort of more of a greeny mint. So I'm going to combine GO2, which is a little bit more green, with BG32, which is a little bit more teal. So the colours I'm going to use today are GO2, BG32, R37, R08, YG93 and YG95, and EO4 and RV95. That's sort of my colour combos. And then for my elf, I'm going to use E51 and 53 for his face, and R21 for his cheeks, and maybe just a little bit of his ears. So I'm just working out. So for the I think I'm going to go mint and red for the elf himself. I love that. And then maybe I might bring in some pink on him. And then we'll bring in the YGs for the actual gifts themselves. So I'll just colour in. I never know if you guys want to see more of the colouring or less of the colouring. So I kind of leave it off. But let me know if you'd like to see more of the colouring. So I'm just going to put in my dark colour, which is the G, in sort of where I want my shadows. This is going to be one of those where I'm going to have to do a little bit of tip to tip, but that's okay. I'm also going to put the G anywhere I want the darkness, so all on the inside of his top. So yeah, I guess it's a top, isn't it? It's all in here. And then we'll come over that with the BG in a minute as well, just to sort of move that along. This should come together okay. They're not too far away on the hex chart, so it's not like it's a really big differentiation. Actually, I'm really not loving that, but that's alright. Actually, I'm going to just change it up. I'm just going to take GO2 out and bring in, I'm actually going to bring in BG13, which is a lot darker than this BG32. You'll see as soon as I put this down, it'll look, actually it doesn't look a lot darker. It looks darker, but so it's going to go everywhere I had GO2. Because it is such a light colour, I can kind of get away with just going straight over the top. But it's just not dark enough, and I'm okay to lose a bit of the green to get a bit more of the minty colour. That's fine with me. There we go, that's better. And that back sleeve's going to look a little darker, but that's okay too, because it is in the background. I'm actually just not liking the way that that's sitting. I can see too much of the green underneath it, so I'm just going to restamp this. Sometimes you just have to cut your losses and start again. It doesn't hurt. And thankfully I hadn't got very far, so it does help. I'm just going to really quickly stamp this guy out again. Alright, I had to do it one more time. I didn't like how purple that one came out. So I switched out the RV95 for the RV11, which has just brought it back to being a little bit more pink. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do all the presents. This is where I'm going to bring in some of that olive, just to kind of break this up a bit. I did do I've practiced with this a couple of times, and I'll show you some cards that I've made with the kits at the end, like the other ones that I've made for the design team. But I just sort of found that two colours wasn't enough for this. It needed to have probably 4. So that's where I'm going to love having that olive in there as well. And I'll try and make that, not the star, but I'm going to try and add that in around the place, just to kind of break everything up. But I'm going to try and make sure I get the different colours all along. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Oh, one other thing. I'm also going to try and keep the teal away from the inside. So I'll do the teal on the outside gifts instead of the inside, and that just means that the colour will be a little bit more balanced. Alright, when I was colouring those in, I'm just going to give just a tinsy little bit of advice. The whole thing's advice. When I was colouring that in, I was looking at it going, nah, this is going to look horrible. The longer I kept going, the more it all kind of comes together. So even if you're sort of looking at a colour combo and you're going, oh no, that's not going to work. If you're on the fence, just keep going because you'll be surprised. Along the way, I had to drop out YG95, my marker's dry, so I have to get a new one, so that's okay. So I'm just going to really quickly add in my white highlights, and then I'm going to die cut all of these, and I will be right back. So I've got all of my images cut out. I have the little elf. I'm just trying to work out how I do this. Now, if I pull that piece of paper again, I'm just worried it's too busy. That's my kind of thinking here. Actually, I kind of like the fact that it looks like it's raining presents. All right, so I'm going to cut this. This is the scary bit because I've only got one piece of it. I'm going to cut this down to be, I'm just going to work in inches today because it just sort of seems to be a bit easier, but wherever I can I'll give you sort of the rough centimetre estimate. So this one will be 14 centimetres, so 5.5 inches tall. And what did I do this one? 3.25 or did I do 3.5? Lost a present. That one was 3.5, so this one I'll do as 3. That was that one, so I'll go that way. Now I'm scared. What did I do? Yeah, so that's that one, yes. So I'll do this one as 3. So this is going to have like a bit of a gap on the middle of it. And then I'm going to matte this on some black because I like the contrast, and I may use a black sentiment. Thankfully I have lots and lots and lots of paper around. So I'm going to cut this to be the 3/4. So this will have a 1/4 inch all around the outside. Oh, that looks cute. Okay, and then I will get a better piece of cardstock in a minute for the base. Okay, so then we've got, I need a floor. So I grabbed this piece of, where did it go? I had it here a second ago. White wood grain cardstock. I just wanted something that had a bit of texture, just so that it didn't look too plain. And I may still come in and just give this a little bit of colour in a minute. And then just before I even keep going, I'm going to cut I want the special gift for you at the top, or do I want the Merry Christmas? No, I think I want the Merry Christmas. I'm going to go ahead and cut these out, but I'm also going to cut out a couple of these. These are the Cut Apart Essentials number 9. So this is the number 6. No. Yeah, 6, which is going to cut all of these out. But then the 9 then does some circle shapes that'll go behind it. I think I'm going to do, I'll try a couple and then you can sort of matte these on there. So that's sort of what I'm thinking. I'm bringing in a bit of black by matting things. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all of these out and I'll be right back. Got my little shapes here. We'll have a look and see which one I like the best. So I'll cut it all out of the same black paper, and that's okay to use paper here because it's not the sort of star of the show, so it's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to have my little elf, and he'll have his big pile of presents. I may move him up just a little bit, and then I'm just leaning towards the red one. And then if we have a floor on the bottom, just to break it up and make sure there's not two much happening, I can then pile on some presents at the bottom. I'll bring some dimension in, and then we've got, of course, the part about this that actually makes it fun. So I'm just going to grab that tape, and I just want to make sure I've got this to the right size. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim this down so that it's the right height, and then I can start adhering some things. Okay, so the only thing I still need to do here is just stick all of these down. And I just have a bit of fear of doing that because I do need to cut through this for our little wobbling present stack. But I think I kind of have to be able to get it all through. So I'm just going to trim this all, or not trim this, glue this all down. I'm just using glue tape for this part of it because it's it's a bit easier. And I'm just trying to leave that even margin all around the edge. So then I've got my little elf here and his presents. So I want his presents to sort of sit here and to wobble. So the biggest thing is to make sure that I get them in the right spot. So I'm grabbing a pen, which is really scary. Pens are always scary. I'm using pen though because I need to be able to make sure that I can see it. I'm going to have that at the top. This guy's going to sit here. I'm just going to put just a little bit of tape on him just to make sure that I don't sort of stuff up where I need to put him. And then you want the presents to sit sort of there-ish. So I'm going to go ahead and trim out just using a circle die. So these ones are from Hero Arts, but you can use any kind of circle that you like. I'm just going to use that to trim out that circle, and it'll all get hidden behind the presents, so it doesn't, you don't have to stress too much about it not being in the right spot. The only thing I'm going to do is make sure it's slightly above where I put that dot. So I'm just double checking again. It's fine, because I want that to be right at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this out, this little tiny circle. It may have to go through the trimmer or through the die cut machine a couple of times. I didn't go through the bit with the wood grain because I didn't want to lose too much of the texture, and plus it does have a habit of getting really dirty when I do that, so I just stopped there. So that's going to be where our little presents are going to sit. To actually make the rocker part, we need two things. We need a piece of acetate and we need a coin. Now 5-cent coins are going to do fine here. If you do find that it's not quite as much as you want, you can change that out for 2 5-cent coins or a 10-cent coin. But a 5-cent coin should be heavy enough. So I'm going to trim down a bit of acetate. And we're going to use some really strong red tape to stick our coin to the acetate. So I just need a little bit. Probably won't use all 3 of those bits, so that's okay. So down onto the coin. And so this is going to be our weight. So where the worst part about red tape is that little bit of release tape that gets stuck there. So I'm going to put this down onto the acetate. So there's our weight. And then what that'll do is we'll put this in behind and we'll use one of the Uniquely Creative round foam circles, and we'll put that sort of behind here. So what I like to do is put the coin on the outside and then put the foam bitty on the inside. And that'll sit in there. I'll cut off the excess in a second. But then our little sack of presents is going to sit on here, and then as that wobbles, I can kind of get away with this. So just going to put that there. As that knocks back and forth, it's hard to do sort of upside down, but you can see that that will spin the whole way around. I don't want it to, and I'll find a way to block, or I'll show you a way to block how far it spins in just a sec. But I can cut off that excess bit. But you see now my presents are going to wobble as the little elf walks along with his presents. So I've got to do just a couple of little fixes here. I've got a little bit of dirt on my floor. It's actually not so bad. I've got to put my little elf back in so he's holding the presents. And then I just need to work out where I want this to stop. Now this will go up on some foam anyway. So I don't want it to go any further than this on this side. So I'm just going to grab some regular foam tape for this one. You could use foam strips. For this one I just think I'd like a slightly thicker kind of foam. So I'm going to put that there. Alright, needs to come over a bit more. This foam tape's got some give, so I can get away with that. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect on the back because you're not going to see it, and you can always sort of fix it up later. Like even it up later, sorry. And then to go the other way, I'm just getting him back in his little spot. I don't want it to go any further than there because that's where his nose is. So I can grab that back. Another bit of tape. Put that there. So that won't go any further because that tape's going to be in the way. Just need to cut that corner off. So just grabbing a bit of cardstock just to put behind it so you can sort of see what it's going to do here. You see as you sort of tip the card, it's kind of got out of its hole. It'll move. Go with me, it'll work, I promise. So I'm just going to go ahead and make my card base really quickly. I like to use my paper stock, really thick cardstock for this. So I'm just going to do that really, really fast and just making sure I do that at the 3.5 by 6. And then I'm going to go ahead and get that all covered in the back, covered in foam tape, so we can pop that up and we can start putting this card together. Now you can kind of get a good idea of what it does. So as you move it and as you wiggle it, those presents are going to sort of wobble around, which I just think it's really cute. And it's just such a, not different because it's definitely been done, but it's just something that I think people won't expect. And when they get it and it wobbles, I just think it's going to make people smile. So that's more what I'm thinking here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put my little elf down. Now he needs to stay flat because obviously we've got this big pile of presents. So he needs to stay without any kind of foam or anything behind him. Now just as a side note, you could do this as just a standard size card. You don't have to do it as a mini slim one. I just thought for something different, it would be really cool. So that's more why I've done it. And even when that sort of standing up, you can kind of see the way it teeters. Actually, I might need to move him over just a little bit. Still needs to look like it would gravitationally be able to sit there as it's sort of standing up in this position, is more what I'm trying to do. So it would sit like that and then it would tip. Yeah, there we go. That's the spot. There you go. So it'll tip sort of one way or other. So then for the presents and the sentiments, I do want to pop them up a little. I need a bit more dimension on this card, even though it is already huge. This is where I'm thinking I might bring in one of the sentiment strips. I might do the Merry Christmas at the top here, and then the from Santa's Little Elves at the bottom. I just think that's really cute. So I'm just grabbing that Essentials die out. I'll just go ahead and cut that out. I'm also going to cut out a couple of just plain white cardstock strips to go behind it. Because there is so much foam already here, I don't want to keep adding more because it's just going to cause issues as it goes through the post and everything. So I'm just going to use a couple of extra strips behind it just to give myself some dimension. So that ended up being about 7.5 centimetres, which just for anyone playing along with inches. Why don't I ever remember that I have this here? It's just short of 3 inches, so it's just a little bit smaller. I just liked the very small amount of white that you got on either edge. So then I've gone ahead and cut some of these little strips down. I'm just going to put them all together. I think I'll do 2 layers. But I might come back for the 3rd, but we'll see how we go. Can do this with regular glue too. Glue tape if you wanted. Either or works. And I'm just trying to make sure it's as straight as I possibly can. We'll go around and put some marker on the outside in a minute so that it doesn't look as white. But the glue tape gives, the liquid glue gives me some time to be able to wiggle that. I think just 2's fine. And then I already had put 3 cardstock circles behind the Merry Christmas and done the black around the outside. So I didn't have to do that again. But it's really easy to do. Just run whether it's a Copic or a Tombow or even just a plain Sharpie just around the outside. I like to work from the back mainly because that way you don't accidentally get any on the actual front of the sentiment. There we go. And we'll pop. I'm not sure I like the harshness of that. I think I'm leaning towards that instead. I'm just making sure it's not going to get in the way of the presents, which it's not, so it's fine. Okay, cool. I like the slightly more gentle movements of that scallop. Again, using liquid glue so I've got some time to wiggle this. I love these circles. They're so cute. So we'll have that there. And then the sentiment. I'm just going to keep using liquid glue now because I've got it out. I know the glue tape's right there as well, but it's here. So I'll put that I'm just going to just slightly off-center it. This one though I'm going to try and make as straight as I can. I'm so glad I used those presents in the background. I don't know why I kind of ummed and ahed over it. I just didn't think it looked right. Or I thought it looked a bit busy. But I think with the floor here, it kind of ends up being okay. And then for all the presents, I'm going to put just little Uniquely Creative foam squares behind each of them, which will just give it a little bit of dimension and make them sort of look a bit more like they're in the front. Actually, one of them, I might keep a couple. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I just want to make sure I use an odd number So I deliberately, actually these foam squares might be a little bit too high. I might just use a slightly skinnier foam tape. Might actually only need one. And I think I like that one. That one's actually got the slightly higher foam tape on it. Actually, I'm just having a look. Just try to avoid twos. I just find twos don't work as nicely. But that kind of does. So I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to put the, just keep it flat for the one on the back. And then obviously we've got foam on the other one. I'm just using the foam to actually keep them together here. Part of me wants to move the sentiment up. Oh, can I? I don't even know if I can. I think it's stuck down too well. Let's just try though. Yeah, no, I've left it too long. That's okay. Was it that one? No, it was the red one. Good thing is I've now got a bunch of presents saved for the next one. No, I think that's okay. I think that's okay. So there we go. There's my wildly complicated simple card. I love the reds, and I like that the reds are broken up with those sort of pops of the light, or like of the olive and the bits. But I just love the fact that it moves, and just when you take it out of the envelope, you can feel that it's going to do something. So I just love that. I think that's really, really cute. I think this whole kit is really cute, just to show you the other cards that I've made. Some of these include the add-ons and some of them don't. But this is probably, this one's going to be on the blog post. If it hasn't already gone up, it will. I've got this cute sort of, I used the candy cane one from last year with the ovals, and you can see it's got the Be Merry, and I just added in a little, like some different colours, so trying to move away from the traditional Christmas cards. And then this one was using the elf hugs. I was playing with some inks. I just love the silver with that green background. And then this one was using one of the add-on dies. Could make this as a shaker as well. This has got vellum. If you have a really good look in the background, it's actually got some inking. But you could use some just plain, you could put shakers behind this, or you could just leave it like I did with the vellum. But I just love that tree and that gorgeous little snowman, but then with the glitter on the snowflakes, just looks really cool as well. So we go, that is the elf collection from Uniquely Creative for Christmas. I hope you guys did enjoy this card. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. There are a lot more Uniquely Creative projects here on my channel, so if you want to check them out, there is a playlist at the end. But make sure you go and check out the Uniquely Creative blog for projects from the other members of the design team as well. So there'll be plenty of ideas on how to use this beautiful set when you get it. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great, great day, and I'll catch you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!